An officer came and he immediately told me to stop work. So I said no, so I carried on. Within 15 minutes, they were back with two very intimidating enforcement officers dressed in black in their stab-proof vests and pepper sprays or whatever you call it, and immediately said he was issuing me with an antisocial behaviour order to stop work.
Hello and welcome back to another video talking about some history around Folkestone. Sidney Cooper Weston. We're going to get some words from our local historian Bob Moland.
Now this is what we did for the King Charles, the coronation of King Charles.
Yep.
Which was in May of this year.
Okay.
Keep it.
Lovely.
This is the site.
I will do.
This is the site that the fountain's on.
Yep.
I've circled it for you. Yep.
Yep.
Because this building's gone, the old building, and they put that there. Now that's how it was.
Right, okay.
This is the better one.
This is what I was going to ask you a few questions about.
This is where I started. I took that in the snow, 2022. Now this is the headstone over at Morrison's churchyard on the other side.
Yes.
You'll see Sidney Cooper Weston.
That's correct, yeah.
That's what it looks like now. And it's even better this year.
Because of your good work. Because of your maintenance.
And here is the centenary that we had in 2022.
Yeah.
Which was 100 years old on this site. There you are, look. That's the chairman of the district council that came up. You can take all these with you. And that's the sort of people that came up. So there, I put it all away.
Very nice. I'll make a document video with all the pictures. I'll take pictures and I'll put them together like a video.
No, you can take these home with you. I don't. No need to.
Okay.
Them.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
These two in here, the articles, tells you everything about the man.
Yep.
You couldn't want for more. You put that away in case it rains. Right, now you tell me what you want to do.
Right, so I know you got a man to talk to about Sidney Cooper, yeah?
Yes.
Right, and before I go into that, I just wanted to get some words from you about the incident with the council, and they give you an issue because of the maintenance.
Well, to my surprise, in 2020, I unlawfully painted it, which caused uproar. I was served with an antisocial warning. Anyway, progressing from there, unknown to me, just before the elections this year, they came up and put a plaque on the bench.
I know, I saw that when I came here last time.
But I'm honoured.
Yeah.
That I'm alive to see my name on a bench, because normally when you see nameplates on a bench, you're dead.
Yeah, very correct. Very correct.
Anyway, cut the story short. You have all through the winters, I've had to keep coming up to take the water out, because it's over 100 years. The water just doesn't get away. You see here, it's completely bunged up.
Yeah.
So it's stressful to keep coming up and taking the water out, because if you don't, that water deteriorates a 100-year-old fountain here, the paintwork quickly. So by doing what I do, it helps to preserve that paint.
And you said the first time they came up with enforcement officers?
Oh yes.
With jackets?
One individual came up and I was on my knees bending here painting. He said, I order you to stop. I said, go away. I said, I'm busy.
Yeah.
He said, I'm telling you again, stop. I said, go away. Now he said that I said to him, fuck off, but I didn't. He used that as a way of making it even more of an issue.
Yes, yes.
So next thing is, half an hour later, he came up with two bullies. They were really bullies, intimidating. And if I didn't stop painting, it would be a £2,000 fine. It's a listed building consent, wasn't granted. I needed planning permission to paint it, and the colour wasn't identical to the colour before. Well, anyway, as time went on, 2 years later, an individual requested all the papers under the Freedom of Information Act. I looked at it very carefully. One particular councillor had really put the knife into me. He said I should be charged under section something for working on a listed structure without permission. 2, I hadn't had permission to paint it, and something else. Well, now let's just stop. It didn't need planning permission because the colour is identical to the previous colour. Secondly,
Very much.
listed building consent wasn't needed because there's no alterations to a listed structure. And with that, that was it, all over, finished. No, don't go away, but don't do it again. But unknown to them, I do. When there's a bad spot, I need to do it, I do it.
Yeah, of course, of course. Right, so what can you tell me about him? All I know is he was a photo. Sidney Cooper was a photographer, wasn't he?
Now, Sidney Cooper Weston was born in Ashford. Later, he moved to Dover with his family. Now, his family run a photographers and artists, I believe at Beach Street in Dover. Now, Sidney Cooper went to school at Dover. Later on, joined the family business, photography. And later opened a business in Folkestone, 23 Sandgate Road, which is the card factory shop.
Yep.
That's where the business was.
Right.
Anyway, sadly, he was a wonderful man that really did so much for the destitute, the children that had no shoes, half-starved children wearing rags. Many a family was evicted in the middle of the night, but he was there when the landlords called for their money. He was there, but he wasn't only known in Folkestone, he was known all over Kent. Now, when he died on 25th of January 1895, the town was in mourning. The fishing community, to which he was always there for them. They had lost their saint, but heaven had gained the gem. Now, he was buried Morrison's, on the opposite side of Morrison's, the graveyard there. We found his graveyard 2021. The whole thing was smothered in brambles. You could hardly see the headstone with his name. The curb was broken. So I paid for and had a man, professional people from Dover, Spencer's Stonemasonry. They came over, they mended the curb, they cleaned the headstone, so now you can see clearly all his name and all the details of the rest of his family. And now his grave is a floral display. It looks beautiful.
It is.
Not just 1 year, 21, 22 and 23. And I hope to be able to continue to do it for a few more years, all the time I can.
That's why I'm making this, another reason why I'm making this video. Another reason why I'm making this video, because people my age, they like this and they want to do it when they get older, you know?
Right. So
your age.
Now?
So what, you told me a lot and explained a lot.
This was smothered in paint. It took me a day to take all the paint off with a wire brush. My fingers were raw to get into all this. Now, I had it gold leaf. She did it beautifully. But a week later, when I came up, all the gold leaf had run off. I said, well, why is that? I'll tell you the reason why. It's a cast iron plaque, right? So when it rains, the rust the rust takes the gold leaf away. Normally they're always bronze or brass, but this is cast iron. So I had another individual come up to do it, but the same thing happened. So it's best in the sun. When you get a bit of sun, it shines on.
I did notice that the other week when I took a photo, it's shiny.
Yes,
you can see it better.
On here. They let their dogs shit in there. They come up, they wash their Wellingtons in there when there's a lot of rain. If you don't keep on cleaning it all out, you've had it.
Of course.
They pee in there, you name it. There's no appreciation for a man such as him.
No. Restored by the New Folkestone Society.
That's when it was last done by these people.
Yeah.
The New Folkestone Society.
They ain't done much since, have they? Or not, I don't know. So, I was going to leave the video there about Sydney, but I was just going to get... Because I know you're in...
one other thing to tell you.
Go on.
I only painted up to here. I couldn't do the rest because there was no scaffolding. And a gentleman who'd got a business in Wearbay Road, he came, he said he was willing to pay for the scaffolding and to put the water on. So I explained the reason why the water is best not to put the water on is because it would just turn to green and slime. All the time the water's, can you imagine the water?
You need a pump.
Yes,
yeah.
Anyway, so I said no. Now, I wrote to the district council. The councillor also wrote to say that this gentleman with his details had offered to put the scaffolding up and I would be willing free of charge to finish the job.
Cool.
They weren't having that. They would do it themselves. So I forced their hand, didn't I? They couldn't care less about that, but they couldn't leave half and half not done, could they?
I know, we saw it in the paper.
So that was good. Now there was something else I wanted to mention. Oh yes, now look, I'll show you something. When I was painting, I noticed, you see here, look, 1, 2, 3, and the other one 4. I said, now what can they be? Strange, what can they be? Well, I found that article. Isn't it marvellous? They were a tray with a copper cup. Because don't forget, in those times, living up here with money people.
Of course.
Middle class people.
Yeah.
So the children were drinking from a copper cup. Because the ordinary children would have been up here.
Yeah.
So that was that problem. And then I found something else of interest. Again, bear with me. Can't think what it was. I've got to think. Bear with me.
You take time.
Oh, that's it. Look. Here, you see this? 1.
Yeah.
Here, next one. Exactly the same. And on the other side, and the other side. So I said, well, what the hell can they be? Looking through all the old photos that I have, I found the answer. When a child was drinking from here, a child could never reach up there, could he?
Of course.
So of course, they were steps. The child would be on a step, then he'd reach it. So that solved that problem.
That's something really, really interesting.
Now, is there anything else you want me to ask?
Not really, not about Sydney. I know you're a very intelligent, experienced man.
No, all I can say to you is I've criticised the council for allowing it to deteriorate, yes, but we must also be fair. From the painting and the work that Councillor Mary Laws put in, they came and re-tarmacked all the area because it was in a terrible condition, all subsiding. They've repaired the steps, they cut the hedge, they removed the hedge here, look, right across there was a big hedge. So now the traffic coming up can see right in. You can see where before you wouldn't have seen it because of the hedge. So out of bed they improved it too. But just the very last thing from me, you know as I do our pathway. We do not always find that pathway in 20 or 30 or 40 years, but eventually we do. And I believe that this pathway was what I should have been doing a long time ago. And I'm now 74. And if I've got the energy and the strength, I'll paint it again when it's needed. It's 3 years this August the 2nd since it was painted. And there are a few signs that it should be done again. But I think it will go another winter and then we'll see what happens. And you have the photos of the condition of it.
I do, yeah. Thank you.
And 2 original articles. And there is one other, getting away from here, there is one other issue. A 14-year-old boy from George Spurgeon School in Sydney Street, which is now called Castle School.
Okay, yeah.
The class was out down at the Warren on a nature study course, picking wildflowers, etc, etc. 4 o'clock came, half the school went home, some of the boys wanted to stay on, and the headmaster stayed with them, the teacher. A few of the boys climbed the cliff of the Warren. Sadly, one of the boys lost his footing. He was 3/4 of the way up, fell. He was still alive when he reached the bottom. They rushed him home, but within an hour later he was dead, brain. The doctor thought it was severe shock, but it wasn't, brain damage. He was dead. These were 2 articles that I found, and it touched me, this boy, for some unknown reason. It touched me. Maybe one of the reasons was that I went to that school, George Spurgeon, sometime in the late 50s.
Of course, yeah.
And I decided to find his grave. It's in the same graveyard as Sidney Cooper Weston.
Right, okay.
Now, again, his plot was all overgrown with brambles, you name it. Well, it's now a beautiful floral display. Couldn't see the name of the boy, but just a few weeks ago I went up there and a very strong bleach. I spent 3 hours, and now you can see Ernest Edward Smith born and died on those dates. So as soon as the autumn comes and the flowers have gone, I will have the man from Dover that did Sidney Cooper Weston's headstone come and do the whole thing. So if you make arrangements with me,
yeah,
you can then go and take a photograph of that boy.
Yeah, of course.
1906 he died.
Yeah.
And his family, they lived in Sydney Street. His mother had a wine merchant business. And I will give you the articles of that.
Yeah, very interesting.
So there you are. That's enough of me.
Thank you, Bob.
No, I came up here often. We're missing the point to which we must explain from the beginning. I've missed the point. It all started in 2019. 2 individuals, one an ex-councillor and a local historian. Behind closed doors, they were discussing moving the fountain. The first meeting took place in November 2019. At a later stage, the ward member for this, Councillor Mary Laws, who sadly now has lost her seat, she just found out accidentally that they were planning on moving it to Folkestone Seafront. So she attended the meetings it was undemocratic to be discussing moving the fountain without first consulting the residents as to whether they wanted their fountain moved. Well, that's undemocratic. Anyway, cut the story short, after a lot of work by Councillor Mary Laws, the fountain, a decision was taken that it was to stay here and not to be moved. Now, the next phase is 6 months went on, and I knew that the fountain was deteriorating rapidly. It was in a terrible condition. Well, if we didn't do something, we were playing into their hands to go back to the local district officers to say, look, they saved the fountain from being moved, and yet look at the condition of it. They haven't done anything to it. So that's when I stepped in to stop them in their tracks.
Very well said.
So of course I'm very unpopular with certain people.
Of course you are, because you're doing the right thing by heart and not by what you're not allowed to do and what you're allowed to do and stuff. So
Ask this lady if it should give you a view.
I won't put, it's up to you if you go on camera. I won't put you on camera if you don't want
No,
to.
no, it's all right. It's okay. Yes, thank goodness this gentleman did all what he's done, because I live locally. Walk past, you know, see I'm a dog walker. Walk past here, and this had deteriorated so badly. It became an absolute eyesore for the area, and it just, you know, it was very upsetting to see the deterioration of this beautiful monument. I mean, put up for all the right purposes, and if it hadn't been for Bob Moulin to do this,
Yeah.
it would never look as lovely as it does now. And he takes great care in its upkeep, looking at keeping it look nice, and we are, I think I speak for the majority of the people around
Of course,
here,
yeah.
because we see it every day.
Every day, yeah.
It's part of our lives, and if Bob didn't come, take the care for it, and make it look as grand as it does, it would be in a terrible state.
Be like the rest of the things, what, local history.
Absolutely.
They just go to rot or, you know, don't get used again.
I think the
Shown.
council were purposely letting it deteriorate so that they would say it just needs too much work done on it, too much money spent on it.
Like library.
Yeah. Yes. So we just thank goodness we got Mr. Mooland here, who's done this for us. I'm very grateful.
Thank you for the few words.
Thank you.
So, to end the video,
That was lucky, wasn't it?
it was very lucky indeed.
Not luck. Look,
Yes. Well, that is
There's no
my
such
luck.
thing as
That is
luck.
my luck. God,
they're there.
the energy forces.
Now I tell you one last thing, but this is off record, so take it off.
Okay.